Welcome to Vocal Tips in 10 with me, voice professional and your host, Amber Mogg Cathy. The show where every week you'll get actionable tips in vocal technique, artistry, health, and more, all in 10 minutes or less. Your best voice is just a tip away, so let's go. Hi friends, welcome to another episode of Vocal Tips in 10. Thank you for being here, and I want to jump into a question today that I get from singers all the time. I think it's a really important one and a really important thing to talk about. And that question is, how do I go out night after night and perform on stage some of these songs that are based in such true raw emotion for me, and deliver that emotion in an authentic and real way to my audience, because I know my job is to make them feel, and I want them to feel, the meaning of the song. How do I do that without having to go there myself every time? Because one, it is too mentally and emotionally hard for me to have to relive that. And two, when I go there, it's hard for me to deliver my best performance. I start to choke up. It genuinely starts to choke off my sound. I'm not able to hit the notes I want to hit. My breath becomes more shallow. I sound shaky. So what do I do? So that's what I want to get into today. And I think this can work for all singers, whether you are singing something that you wrote yourself that is about a really difficult, painful time in your life, you are playing a character that has gone through a really difficult, painful time, or you're singing a cover that just brings up emotions or makes you think about a situation that's tough. That's what music makes us do. It makes us feel, and that's what we want to do for our audience. But I think it's asking too much of us to carry that mental load and that emotional load performance after performance. I also think many times if we feel it, we are unable to communicate in the way that we would like. So I want to talk about 3 tools, technical stylistic tools that we can focus on when we are working on songs like this that are tough for us to deliver without us having to relive it. The first tool that I want to talk about is dynamics. Dynamics are so important. They can add such emotion, such energy, really playing with your dynamics so that you have high highs, low lows, everything in between based on the feeling that you're wanting your audience to experience. I think it's also important to remember with dynamics, I think a lot of singers think, okay, I'm going to add a lot of dynamic to this, and they automatically lean towards getting louder. I think there's absolutely time to have some powerhouse singing, and it can really land an emotional punch. But I also think if you think about it, there are times in songs where the biggest emotional punch is landed by sound where it feels like the singer is hardly able to get it out. It sounds vulnerable to us. It makes us as listeners want to lean in. So playing with dynamics. I think if we can plan in advance, really build where are we going to have that dynamic ebb and flow to really create really emotional effect for our audience, we can, as singers, remove ourselves a bit and just think, okay, this is where I'm going to really get louder. Now I'm going to come back really gentle and quiet. So we don't have to carry the weight of the emotion, but it is perceived by the audience as being incredibly emotional. The second tool I want you to think about, and this is another huge one for all singing across the board, but I think it's a great way for us to convey emotion and feeling to our audience, and that is phrasing. Phrasing is the way you communicate each line to your listeners. It's the arc of each line. It's the arc of the story. Where do you really want to speed up your phrasing? Push the rhythm, just get the words out there as quickly as you can. So that conveys, if I don't get this out here quickly, I'm not going to be able to do it. There's an urgency to that. When are you going to do that? And when are you going to create anticipation? By really slowing it down, or putting in a pause that isn't expected, or really lingering on a word that is important, that you really want people to think about. Where are you going to put those ebbs, those flows into your song, just like we do in a conversation? And that's when I'm working with singers, I'm like, think about if you were telling this story to someone and you were speaking it. Where would you be like, I've got to slow down because this is so hard for me. I've got to speed this up or I'll never get it out. Where are you going to automatically build and pull back, ebb and flow? Because that's how it comes out when you're feeling the emotion of it. That's what we want to recreate with our purposeful phrasing as singers. And phrasing with dynamics together Powerful duo. Do not underestimate those. And the third thing I want you to think about is different stylistic tools. Stylistic tools can be everything from the tonal quality of your voice. And just for anybody listening who's like, what is that? The tone of your voice is what your voice sounds like, the quality of the sound versus the pitch itself. So I can have the same pitch, but make it sound very differently by playing with my tone, a brighter tone, a darker tone, a lighter tone, a fuller tone. Tonal quality, the quality of our sound, is something we can play with that can make a really big difference. Onsets can be so powerful in conveying emotion. Onset is how you're going to deliver just the very start of that pitch, that word. You can have a breathy onset. You can have a glottal, edgy onset. You can have a balanced onset. All of those are going to really change the emotional feel. Stylistic tools like some grit, some distortion, some vocal fry, some fry into the note makes it immediately sound more emotional. And remembering fry can be onset, I know you. It can also be offset, I know you. Right? You can use it for either a little bit of grit to the sound, vocal cry. Vocal cry is such a great tool for us when we want mixy, beltier sounds. It also conveys major emotion. And then little things like little scoops up, scoops down, where you want to put a little riff or a run, all of those different stylistic tools. And there are so many more, but we can use stylistic tools in addition to purposeful phrasing, purposeful dynamics to deliver a powerhouse emotional performance without having to feel it ourselves. So the great thing is we are delivering our best to our audience and our listeners, which is what we all want to do. And we are protecting our emotional well-being, our mental health, which is incredibly important. I know I say this all the time, but our body is our instrument. Our mind and our body are linked in ways that we can never separate, for good and for bad. So taking care of yourself, voice, body, and mind, is so important as a human being and just so important as a singer. I hope you found some of these tools helpful. I hope you will play with these, find some ways to deliver emotion and in a way that's most effective for you and your audience. I've got freebies for you in the show notes, like always, a sing-along audio track to a 5-minute vocal warm-up that is quick and really effective. Also a bonus belt exercise that is one of my favorites. You can try 2 weeks of my Vocal Pro membership for absolutely free. I love that place so much. Check it out in the show notes. If you have topics that you want to learn more about, questions, comments, leave them in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.